Another one of those Pat's personal portraits. I'm Pat, and the portrait is not of Alessandra Soler, but of her organization. Remind everybody right now who it is that you're the executive director of.
Sure, I'm the executive director of the American Civil Liberties Union of Arizona.
know.
ACLU.
No, exactly. And if you say those four letters, to some people, Alessandra, I certainly don't surprise you when I tell you, it's an obscenity.
It's funny that you say that because we have tremendous name recognition. When you say the ACLU name, 84% of Americans will know, they'll recognize the name, but many of them will not know what we do, or they'll think that, for example, we sue private individuals, or so. You're right. I mean, I think that's my job.
Or that you're a commie pinko, left
or
wing,
that we are
or a
left-leaning.
fascist, right? But Alessandra, you're a nice lady, and you're a mom.
Yes.
And you're a good neighbor to the folks who live near you.
And I'm raising my children here in Arizona, and I don't have devil horns.
Oh, I have a great idea then. Why don't you tell everybody what this portrait is about and what your organization really does?
Sure. The ACLU is a nonprofit civil rights organization that defends everyone's rights. We defend the principles and the values that are outlined in the Bill of Rights, those first 10 amendments to the U.S. Constitution.
That's pretty American.
That is very American, and we've been doing it for a really, really long time.
How long?
Since 1920.
Oh.
When we were founded. And we were actually, when we were founded in 1920, one of the first few cases that we took was on behalf of immigrants. At that time, the European immigrants who had so-called radical views were being deported simply based on their political affiliations and their views. And the Attorney General at the time, a gentleman by the name of Mitchell Palmer, was just deporting them with no due process, rounding them up and kicking them out of the country. So things, have obviously very changed for European immigrants here in this country. But
some of the people that were asked to leave were Irish.
Exactly. They were Irish and they were German and Italians. And so we said, and we stood up to the government, at that time what we thought was an excessive abuse of power, and they were violating people's rights to due process. And
okay, but if now, I'm not going to say a Mexican family, but if a Latino family, because they could come from Peru or virtually anywhere, but if they come across the border illegally, are you saying, as you represent the ACLU, to leave them alone because they should be allowed to do that?
Well, what I'm saying is that in this country, the United States has a right to secure its borders. I mean, that's the rights that we have as a sovereign nation. But what we're saying is that our immigration laws have to treat people fairly and humanely. If you enter this country unlawfully, that is a crime. Many people are coming into this country because they are seeking better lives for themselves, and they come to work. And the large corporations in this country are providing them with jobs. They're contributing to our communities. And the immigration system over the past 20 years has led to approximately 11 million undocumented immigrants who have been part of our communities.
Is it because they're doing the job badly?
They're here. They're doing. You mean the government?
The immigration department. Yeah.
Well, and I think that's one of the issues that has come up recently is that people are recognizing, including Senator Jeff Flake and Senator John McCain, that the system is broken. Is that we have this sort of a system that says, well, you can't come into this country. We don't have a legal way of accepting the immigrants into the country.
And you cover so many things.
So many issues. That's
the Skokie story. Skokie, Illinois. Perfectly splendid, ordinary suburb of Chicago, and you and Skokie are forever tied.
Right. That
you defended
was one
the
of
Klan.
yes, and it was one of the most controversial decisions for the organization, where we had a Jewish ACLU attorney who was representing a Klan's members and representing the Klan's right to march in a predominantly Jewish neighborhood.
You defend Nazis.
The thing about the Constitution is that everyone is entitled to constitutional protections, and that's, regardless of you're on the left or on the right, or regardless of whether or not you're documented or undocumented, or whether or not you have unpopular views and I certainly wouldn't want to have a Klans member over for dinner, but
I'm struggling with this because
Yeah.
it just seems consummately, what's the word I'm looking for? Fair.
right, and that's probably when you say why are we so controversial is that many people may not necessarily agree with giving certain rights to some people and not others.
Got to come back and explain some of those individual cases, because I think almost everybody at some time or another says, how
Remembers.
could they possibly do that, right? Well, I guess they do it for them and you and me, the American Civil Liberties Union, on KTAR.com.